Hello, hi, welcome back to Adventures in Music with me, Jim, where we listen to, talk about and do all sorts of things music-y. It's Friday. Ordinarily, I would be doing a mixtape. I'm going to be honest with you, I have done a mixtape today. I spent an hour and a half making said mixtape, getting all the bits of music ready, setting it all up, sitting down, putting my headphones on, tapping the microphone, recording, get to the end. I forgot to press record on the camera. I'm so cross. So I've got to redo it. I just can't face it today. So I'm going to do it on Monday. It's going to be a once and for once only mixtape Monday. However, I did want to do a second video today anyway, and that's what I'm doing now. So this is not in lieu of the mixtape. This is as well as, or would have been as well as, but I think it is now just going to be the only video I do today. I want to make a short video to sort of pay tribute to Gary Mountfield, or Manny, as he was known, his stage name. Manny was a bass player, and he played for two bands famously. Initially for the Stone Roses and then for Primal Scream. And he died yesterday. He was born in 1968, so he was 62, sorry. So he was quite a young man. And I think it's fair to say that his influence and participation in the band The Stone Roses and the influence of the Stone Roses and the impact they had was seismic in England on the UK music scene. At that time, you've got to try and think what the backdrop to this was. It was shiny pop music of the likes of Madonna and Stock Aitken Waterman. So there's a lot of Kylie Minogue, a lot of Jason Donovan, Rick Astley. There would have been a lot of Whitney Houston. There would have been some very sort of very shiny, polished rock. So by that I mean things like Bon Jovi and Europe. So it was a very sort of stale musical landscape as far as young people were concerned. There was some noises in the really in the underground. From sort of this new form of dance music that's coming through, house music. There was acid house that was starting to sort of make a bit of a scene, but hadn't really established itself. And there had been indie bands active in the past. They were not really relevant anymore. So you had bands like Smiths, Echo and the Bunnymen, and Bauhaus, Susie and the Banshees, stuff like that. So it was like crossover punk going into indie and whatnot. But at this stage in 1989, when the Stone Roses broke through, it sounded like they'd sort of beamed in from a different dimension. The music that they brought to the attention of the masses was best described as psychedelic, jangly 60s rock music, grounded with funky, groovy dance rhythms. And that element, that was the sort of kind of, I've read this in the paper in the last couple of days. That was the magic sauce, as it were, for this band. That crossover between danceability and rock music. And Manny, the bass player, coupled with Rennie, the drummer, were an astonishing, powerful and incredibly important rhythm section in the UK at that time. I wasn't a mad, crazy sort of Manchester music scene follower at that time. My background, as you well know, was metal, so I was listening to a lot of Iron Maiden, a lot of hard rock, traditional metal. But I was also starting to cross over and listen to a lot of electronica. But chart music was not really something I really focused in on at all. Sure, it was on the radio in the car when I drove it, and at work where I was over the summer holidays. I used to work on a farm, so I had a radio in the tractor. I couldn't take my own music; it didn't have CD players in tractors. You had the radio, so what I was stuck with was whatever Radio 1 happened to be playing at the time, and it was, as I just said, it was Madonna, it was Rick Astley, it would have been Kylie Minogue, probably the Prince Batman soundtrack, stuff like that. So really not anything very inspiring or exciting. Jive Bunny, goodness sake. And then out of nowhere, this band appeared. And it can't be emphasised enough, I don't think, what an important moment this was for English rock music. This crossover between rock and dance hadn't really been done before, not to this extent. And it's very, very different from what ended up happening a number of years later with new metal, where you had metal mixed with DJs and turntables and hip-hop. This isn't that at all. This is a very English sound, so it's the very English sort of acid house sound mixed with this psychedelic rock sound. It ushered in a whole new genre, I guess, and it made English, I say British, but very specifically English music, and very specifically Manchester music, very, very exciting for a short while, for 3 or 4 years. Had it not been for the Stone Roses, we wouldn't have had the Inspiral Carpets, we wouldn't have had the Charlatans, we wouldn't have had, certainly wouldn't have had Oasis, or Happy Mondays. And there's a whole load of bands that really owe their careers to the groundwork that was done by the Stone Roses. The Stone Roses were 4 people. It was Ian Brown on vocals, John Squire on guitar, Manny, or Gary Mountfield, on bass, and then Rennie on the drums. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing to behold. Manny's bass lines moved like a dancer. They were so sort of fluid and moving and groovy. Up to this point, listening to rock music, you didn't really want to dance. You wanted to sort of nod your head or bang your head or sort of just be sort of in a pit with people. But to dance, that kind of didn't really sort of fit with rock music. This made it possible. And I'm going to play a piece of music at the end here from their first album that is my favourite bit of music by the Stone Roses. It's my favourite thing they ever did. And they weren't prolific. I think they only did 2 albums. They did this and then the second album called The Second Coming. And that went down not very well, I don't think. But this really demonstrates why they were such a great band, why they were so important, and you have to again remember the backdrop to where this came in English British chart music at that time. It just, there's nothing else sounded like it, nothing at all, and I think it's just important to remember him. It's always a sad day when a musician passes away. But this is one I just felt I really wanted to mark. So, in memory of Manny, this is I Am the Resurrection. Clocks in at 8 minutes 15. It's not a prog track by any means, but they certainly don't mind going beyond like a 3-minute single, as you'll hear. So here we go. I Am the Resurrection from the Stone Roses, coming from 1989. 3, 2, 1, bosh. Here comes the bass.
Down, down, you bring me down.
60s sound, eh?
I hear you knocking down my door and I can't sleep at night. Your place, it has no place. No room for you inside my house. I need to be
Love that bass line. Love that it's just rolling along. John Squire's a great guitar player as well. Where things start to get really interesting. Isn't that groovy? Love this drum part. And again. This reminds me a little bit of Bubba O'Reilly. Love it. There we go. Manny wasn't a prog bass player. He wasn't a classic bass guitar player. But for a moment in 1989, he and his bandmates made guitar music cool again. And we must be so grateful for that moment, that opening of the gates to allow guitar music to propagate, to become something that young kids wanted to listen to again. And I, for one, really just wanted to sort of pay my respects and to say that, Manny, I salute you. Godspeed, and thank you for the music. I'll see you on the next video, whenever and whatever that is. Until then, this is Jim, over and out.